Whoa, okay. Nice.
Awesome.
So welcome to today's Monday Motivation. So we're here with C.I.H and Amy, my co-host, and my name is Jasmine.
Hello, everyone.
And we're here really excited to talk about C.I.H. Yeah, I know I'm going to say Barry. She said it was a bit easier to say Barry instead. Healed Road to Recovery, her new book, her first book as well, that she recently released over a month ago now. Yeah, and so we're going to send that link to the book so you can all buy the book. But this whole Monday Motivation is about a little bit blurry version. Well, this book is really exciting because it's sharing her journey from coming from Zimbabwe and the experience that she had with gender-based violence.
Yeah.
And all the things that, like, she's going to explain it perfectly to us. But we've got a whole set of questions. I'm really excited to present this.
For sure. Super exciting. So should we pass it over to Faree?
Yes.
And then afterwards we're going to have our own questions, and then we're going to open it up to everyone else on the call. Yeah. So take it away.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining in. I'm really hoping that you pick one or two things out of it. I'm excited to be sharing my story, but on the other hand, I'm also a little bit nervous because I'm basically making myself vulnerable, talking about something that many people would not talk about. My name is Farisai Demwa. I'm originally from Zimbabwe, and I'm Shona speaking. Zimbabwe, we have two languages besides English, Shona and Ndebele. So I'm Shona speaking, and I'm specifying that because I'm not too sure how the culture works in terms of gender-based abuse and violence with the other tribe, which is the Ndebele. But I think it's kind of similar. But I can safely talk about my culture as a Shona Zimbabwean woman. My book, I wrote it initially as a way of self-expression because I really felt like I was muted. I was not allowed to talk about what was going on, what had happened. And it was something that was really painful for me. And you know, with pain, you can't hide it. So I had to work very hard to hide it, but still inside it was really painful. And I remember I met a lady at some point who told me that, you know, I can see pain in your eyes, and yet you always act happy. You're not doing yourself favor looking this in. It will only damage you in the long run. And I said, well, I can't talk about it to anybody because I'm not allowed to. And then she told me that writing is therapeutic. Sometimes writing is almost like letting it out onto a piece of paper. So yeah, I started writing as a way of letting it out, basically. And then as I saw the story shape up, and as I experienced emotions of release from writing it, I actually then started thinking, how many of women out there are going through this and locking it in because they've been told to lock it in, and are actually feeling as much pain as I'm feeling, or maybe even worse, because everyone's experience of domestic violence is different. So then I thought, hopefully someone might read this. So I started actually properly formulating it into a book. My son encouraged me as well because I used to, when I was feeling very emotional, I would write fast, and I was always like this. And he'd be walking by thinking, "What are you writing?" And I'd be like, "Nothing. What are you writing?" And then one day he picked up and he read some of it, and he was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I never knew these things happened to you. And I can't believe you've gone through all this, and yet, you always act really strong and like nothing is wrong and all that." And he said, "I mean, I think it's your story and you have every right to tell your story. I don't understand why people would stop you talking about your own story." Because he's been raised in England, you see, so the culture side of things is a bit hazy for him. So yeah, that actually encouraged me to really make a book and publish it in the end. So yeah, hopefully somebody else might be encouraged to tell their story, whatever format you choose to tell your story with.
Wow,
Amazing.
I'm already inspired.
Yeah.
And it's already, and it was only like 6 minutes. Well,
It's really nice to hear actually that your son was such a big part of kind of getting you to do this.
Mm.
Yeah. And kind of amazing as well that you was able to kind of share that with him.
Yeah, it's quite amazing because he was probably the biggest scare bit of me getting published, because I kept thinking, I don't know how he's going to take knowing that this is what happened to my mom. Because one of our cultures is that men are made to believe that if a woman has been sexually abused, she's filthy, she's dirty, she's not worth, relating to, she's not even worth acknowledging. And because I have a son who, like, when I wrote the book, was already a young man, I was really terrified that he would start looking at me like, Well, fortunately, because I've raised him here, he didn't get exposed to that mindset where, he would believe that a woman that has been abused is filthy. And I think it's a sad thing that we believe that, because I'm the victim. So I should be the one people are trying to help instead of adding salt to wounds. So yeah, once he encouraged me, I was really, it was the whole weight off my shoulder. And he actually went further. He designed the cover of the book.
Oh,
You know that?
really? Oh,
So it's almost like we partnered into it.
yeah. Oh, that's amazing. That's really awesome, actually. Yeah.
It's a family affair.
Yeah. And that's, yeah, you need people like that to kind of encourage you and allow you to grow. And yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
So maybe that's one of our questions was, which you did sort of answer it. At what point in your life did you decide to write a book on your experiences? And you did kind of answer that.
Yeah.
But is there like, how long ago was this? Like, how long was the process?
I'll actually say the real decision to get published was in 2018.
Oh, okay.
Up until 2018, it was just bits and pieces that I was writing. I would get an emotional feeling about a specific thing, or I would get a trigger that reminded me of something, and then I would write how I was feeling, but that was just me expressing myself. And then 2017, I was in a massive car accident, and I almost died. And that's when I thought, you know what? I have been acting all my life. Everything that I was doing was done in order to hide this secret that I was told you have to keep it a secret, don't talk about it. And it was hard work. So when I had that car accident, I actually thought, I could die tomorrow. I've been given a chance, but I could still die tomorrow. And all this acting I've been doing, it's all people really know of me. They don't really know me as the real me. And I thought, my son is okay with this. So there's nothing really stopping me. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna actually, so 2018 is when I made the firm decision that this was going to be a book.
Wow.
Yeah, but yeah,
Things moved quite quickly then from 2018. Like you kind of was like, I'm doing it. Like you had an almost like, yeah, revelation, right? And then
Yeah.
just that's really like impressive actually. Yeah. Yeah.
Because a lot of people just spend their whole life.
They sit on an idea maybe and then they just kind of it doesn't go anywhere. But with you, it was like, you had an accident and then you just went with it, which is, yeah.
I think it was the realization that life, people say life is too short. I always wondered what the hell do people mean when they say life is too short? If I live to be 80, to be 90, to be 100, how can they say that it's short? But when I was going into the war, because I actually drove the car into a war. When I was going into the war, I remember thinking, oh yeah, actually, life is short because I haven't even lived my life. I've been acting all this while.
Yeah.
And now it looks like I've only got seconds left, and that's how short my life would have been. So yeah, life is short. When I started writing, I was thinking in my head, I don't know how long I've got. I need to write and finish it.
Wow. So even then you were kind of like speed writing to get it finished.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, very cool.
I need to start having that kind of mindset when I'm like washing the dishes. The next question we have.
Yeah.
Do you want to say it?
No, go on.
What are your most treasured memories from growing up in Zimbabwe? It's quite out of the blue question, but yeah.
Actually, the big picture of family. Living in England actually shows a great deal of the contrast. Back home, we value not just the immediate family, but the extended family. So you get things like tribes. You live in maybe a whole city. It's just your tribe, and everybody knows everybody, and everybody knows what's going on with everybody. When you're struggling with things, everyone comes together. But there are disadvantages to that. You actually then don't really have a personal life, like here you hear people saying you're invading my space. Growing up, I didn't know that you have space.
That's amazing.
Yeah, everyone is involved in everything that you do. And so yeah, if you're doing a lot of wrong things, everyone will know you as that. You do good things, and I think that fact always helps you to try and stay on the right pathway to do the right things, because you don't want to be known around for being a bad girl or a bad boy, So yeah, that's one thing that I remember with pleasure, really. Even though part of the culture stopped me talking about something that I needed to talk about, on the overall, I think I still value that unity in extended family.
So yeah, it's basically around community, right? Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess okay, so the next question. So obviously your book focuses heavily on gender-based violence. You've actually already kind of touched on this, but what were the main obstacles that you encountered? Like obviously you kind of said about people, but yeah, what was that like, and like how did that kind of happen?
When the first time I experienced violation, the first person I trusted to tell told me, you can't talk talk about this because it paints you as dirty, it paints you as a bad person. And I think her impression was I must have done something wrong for this person to do this to me. And things like, oh, were you dressed appropriately? Were you walking appropriately? And I'm thinking, and things like, oh, you always walk around like you think you're the prettiest thing on planet Earth. I didn't even think I was pretty. But anyway, on somebody's perspective. And that really killed my confidence. So even when I decided I'm going to tell this story, I wasn't as confident as I am now talking about it. And another struggle that I faced was self-blame. From what was said to me, I went through years of blaming myself. I used to sometimes, I'm walking and I actually think, am I walking appropriately? Might I attract the wrong kind of attention the way I'm walking? Or am I dressed appropriately? So I was never really comfortable in my body because I would be thinking, if anybody looked at me, I'd be thinking, oh my God, am I causing this guy to want to do something to me? Which is totally wrong. It actually prevented me having real relationships. Because I actually believed what I'd been told back then when I was 16. I believed it for many years. And it really controlled who I was, controlled what I did, how I did it, where I went, and all those things. So I missed out on a lot of things in life because of it. And trying to put that in writing was really difficult because I felt like I'm accusing people. Even though I'm telling it how I saw it, how I felt it, it almost felt like I was pointing fingers. And as an African Zimbabwean woman, we don't really point fingers, especially at our elders. So yeah, I was guilt reading while I was writing the book, and I was guilt reading while I was even trying to make the decision to get published. And then when I told my family as well, or their response, I almost just threw the book away. But they were like, oh my God, that's like washing your dirty laundry in public. And, you have to think about the family, you have to think about how it's going to affect us all.
Right.
I had to think, I've lived all my life, 25 years, protecting you. When am I going to be protected? When am I going to get back to me? And writing this book to me became the only way I could express myself.
Yeah.
And this is like you writing this book actually opens the door for many other women and also men who face like similar trials.
And also it's like the understanding that needs to be out there for people who haven't experienced it as well, people who don't even understand what it is to have these things happen to them but then judge it. This is the other side of it. Like there is two sides. Like the person's gone through it that needs to hear that voice, but then also someone who doesn't understand it. I think it's so impactful and so important, So it's good that you didn't listen to those doubters. Really amazing.
Yeah, one of the amazing things that I've learned after the book has been published is that there are so many people actually who are out there who are experiencing this and don't even realize they are being abused because it's been grounded into them so much that it's normal. They actually believe that it's okay. They actually believe that it's normal. I had one lady who said to me that my auntie told me that if your husband does not beat you up, if your husband is not rough with you, it means he doesn't love you. You should start thinking, who else is he doing this to? Who else is he seeing? And I'm thinking, how can you believe being bad? How can you believe being sexually abused is how a man shows that they love you? How can you believe that?
And then also the crazy thing about it is that that's been passed down through generations, because obviously someone up, like, you know, their grandparents there has also experienced that, and that's been passed down as the normal.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We were on a Zoom, we did a Zoom talk, and it was like 4 generations incidentally on that Zoom. And I remember one young girl saying, yeah, Mom, I told you this is wrong. And then she was like, oh, my mom told me that, and her mom was actually there.
Whoa, no way.
And then she's saying, that's what I was told. And I was like, oh my gosh.
So it really, it's kind of,
Pass it. Yeah.
yeah.
You
And
pass
no
it
wonder
on
why
and on and on and on. And
Yeah.
until we start having this kind of conversation and start opening eyes, it will just carry on and on and on. And I really don't want to leave a legacy of pushing the wrong things from generation to generation, because if I don't speak up, that's exactly what I'm doing. And I think silence is the worst kind of fertilizer into this. It feeds so much into this, because then the perpetrators go away scot free, and they will repeat because they know it's not going to go anywhere.
Sorry, we didn't realize we were on mute there. Yeah, no, I mean, everything you said, totally agree. I was kind of actually agreeing with you, but obviously, it was muted. So, yeah, so the next question, I guess.
This one, I think it should be, how would you encourage others? So there's gonna be a lot of people who watch this talk, and some people on this call right now who have gone through like the most inspirational journeys, and who all have like a testimony to share.
Yeah.
And a lot of people who go through these same journeys want to write a book, want to make a film about it, but then it's actually, how do you encourage others in similar situations to yourself to actually make that step to be open about their journeys? Because it is like you have to overcome something, to be willing to share it to the rest of the world, really. Like you're becoming very vulnerable to the rest of the world.
So have you got any advice, I guess, and imparts wisdom? Not that you haven't already.
my advice to people is, the greatest thing that will encourage you to tell your story even when it's scary is the value of that story you are telling. Look at it this way: you are saving a life. I would say for the 25 years that I was in silence, I was dead, really. All you people saw me walking about, and I wore so many masks to cover up the deadness that was in my heart. Now, a lot of people would have seen me and thought I was, a perfect example of a happy person. But unfortunately, your pain, you feel it alone. And you have to love yourself enough to get rid of that pain. And why I say you're saving life is that once you free yourself, you are genuinely going to love people. You are genuinely going to love yourself. And when you give yourself that genuine love, it's easy to give genuine love to other people. And when you're damaged, that is what you put out there, damage, and you damage other people in the process. When you're giving yourself your best, you're actually denying people what it is that you've been put on earth to give. Because I think we are all put on earth for a purpose. Maybe it's one person that you're meant to serve. If you don't rid yourself of this pain, of this anguish, that person you are meant to serve, you're not really serving them, because you're actually giving them exactly the damage that you're carrying around. So by getting it out there, you're sorting yourself out and you're sorting everybody else out. And another reason that might encourage you is just knowing that, because one thing I thought was, at my age, what's the point? I think I've already lived more than half my life. So two things, you don't actually know how long your life is. And from me experiencing the pleasure of being free, I'd say to you, even experiencing that pleasure for 5 days is well worth it, because you are actually going to leave Earth knowing what pleasure is. It's really sad if people are going to continue to live their lives in misery and die in misery. That's really sad. And I think if you look at it that way, you'd be encouraged to tell your own story. And thankfully, social media and technology, you can actually find somebody to walk the journey with you. If you have questions, if you need somebody to talk to, there's variety of ways of reaching out now. You're not just stuck with your family. So for instance, if your family is not happy with you sharing your story, there's a whole lot of other people who can actually walk the journey with you. Because I know it's very uncomfortable walking that journey on your own. I, for one, am more than happy to talk to anybody who wants to talk about this, even if it's just letting it out. I'm more than happy to do so. I'm on all social media platforms. So yeah, you can reach out to me.
Amazing. Yeah, that's really nice actually. The idea that, you know, connection is kind of the way forward at the end of the day. Making people aware of things and creating kind of a community within this field is so important. Yeah.
I find that so impactful. You just saying like it's saving another life.
Yeah. Because even if one person reads it, you know, and you've saved that one person, then that's a gift. Yeah.
Definitely. That makes it worth it for me personally, actually.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
As one individual, I look back and I've gone through a phase where I've been apologizing to people, because there are a lot of people that sometimes I lashed out when I was in that mode where I was really angry and bitter. Sometimes I lashed out at the wrong people. I lashed out at people with nothing to do with it. And that can be quite damaging. You know, you're sitting there, you haven't done anything wrong, and the next thing somebody's lashing out at you. That can really affect your confidence. It can affect how you see life. And there were several people that were on the receiving end as I went through my journey, and that is another reason why it's important to let it out.
Yeah, because I guess you can't control when your trauma kind of overcomes you, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. It's very thought-provoking.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can see somebody acting strange and you think, what's wrong with this person? They may be carrying a heavy load of something that happened a long time ago, and you don't know. You just think they're weird. You think they're strange or crazy even. But it's when you carry a heavy load for a long time, it reaches a point where you don't know what to do with it. And so your behavior becomes really random and erratic. And people just don't understand it. And that's how I was for quite a while.
Gosh. So I guess we've got one last question for you on our list. So now you've published this obviously inspiring book that I can't wait to read, by the way. What is next for you? What is next? Like, do you see yourself making more publications? Do you want to go out and talk to the world about these things? Like, what is your next thing?
Three things. Since I've been talking about the book, there's a lot of questions that people have been asking, and I think they deserve answers. And when you do Zooms like this, you only touch few people. So I've already started on another book, and that one is going to be providing answers to questions that have been asked. That's one thing. And the second thing is I started coaching. So I'm helping women who've gone through or who are going through trauma. I'm also helping women who've come out with it, but then don't know where to go now. If you've been in captive for a long time and you're set free, sometimes it can be like a very bright light that blinds you. You don't actually know what to do with yourself. The excitement of being free can be a very short time. And then you have to come down to mother reality and thinking, so now what? What next? And there's a lot of people who are at that stage. So yeah, I think it's a journey that is easier when you walk it with somebody. So that's some of the things that I'm doing now with individuals. And I have been doing talks. Like I said yesterday, I was in Coventry. I did talk there as well because I think storytelling is inspirational. When somebody tells their own story, it's attached to reality, and the body language says something more than what's in the book, and there's emotion attached to it. And when you're talking in groups at events, there's also that platform for people to give feedback and ask questions, and there's further understanding from it. Because you can read 10 people can read one sentence in a book and understand it 10 different ways, which means they'll probably understand it 10 different ways from what I actually meant. But when I'm telling the story and they're asking the question, I'm actually then able to actually say, this is what I meant. And then you can reflect on it on yourself from whatever perspective you were taking it from, and get clarity out of it. So yeah, talks, coaching, and I'm writing another book. That's what's happening since being published.
That's awesome. You've got a lot going on then.
Yeah. I'm
Super
also
exciting.
doing little films where I use pictures to tell stories with background voiceover, where I actually express what the pictures means. Because one of my coping strategies was photography. When I was really stressed out, I'd go out there, go for walks, go for drive. When I see something nice and beautiful and that catches my eye, I'll stop, take pictures, and I see hidden stories in those pictures. So I'm actually creating audio-based picture stories out of it. Yeah, a short one is actually should be out soon. Somebody's helping me with the first one. And after that, it's going to be probably a series where I go through my photographs and tell people who I actually was when those pictures were taken and why.
So what would be amazing if we can open up for the people watching.
Yeah.
I know there's multiple people watching on one of the or two of the screens.
Yeah.
So if anyone has any questions for Fari,
You can either talk, and if you don't feel comfortable talking, you can always write it in the chat. So there is the choice to do either.
Yeah.
But yeah, any questions?
I see C.I.H is on camera.
Have any questions?
But he's muted.
Yeah, true, actually.
Do I have to
Ask to unmute. There you go.
Hi.
Hi. Good evening.
Hi, Sahid.
My name is Sahid. I'm happy to be part of you as I listen to your success story. Uh, I'm really amazed. But I have a question, simple question for you.
Mhm. Yeah.
What we expect to learn from your book?
You can learn as many things as you choose to from it, but my intention was mainly for you to learn that silence is not always the answer. If you're struggling with something, it doesn't actually have to be violence. It can be anything. Silence never helped you because when we look at you, we don't see your pain. That's the thing about pain. You can't see it unless it's expressed. Or if it was a physical wound, then maybe someone can look at the wound and think, "Oh my God, that must be painful." But if it's a struggle that is not visible, the only way people can know about it is if you express yourself. And the only way people can help you is if they know about it. And that was really the purpose why I shared my story, because I was at that point where I knew I needed my life to change, and I knew I couldn't do it alone. And I also knew that silence was not going to get me whoever it was that would help me.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So I was in Harare, to be specific, in Zimbabwe.
Mhm.
I know a couple of things there. Because when I was in Harare in Zimbabwe,
Yeah.
I learned so much about your culture. So for now, you wrote a book. So what impact do you expect your book to help the common Zimbabwean people? As you know, for the past of 26 years, there was one leader that is ruling there. And also human rights violence is extremely there in Zimbabwe before.
Mm-hmm.
So haven't got that experience when I was in Zimbabwe, Harare. I know there was exploitation, human rights, and other things. Then
Yeah.
what do you have to advise the common Zimbabwean for them to copy your steps?
Um, Actually, that's quite interesting because when I came here, I told myself I was removing myself from the toxic environment that was muting me. I don't think I had actually properly thought about it because I got here and I found I was still controlled by what I had been taught back home. I would start to talk and then I would see a vision of somebody who I would know they wouldn't want me to be talking about this. And then I would start to, I can't talk, I get scared, even though they are thousands and thousands of miles away. So what I would say is removing yourself from a toxic environment is not just about physically removing yourself. You have to actually be prepared to leave what it is that you're removing yourself from, leave it there. Otherwise, you can go around the world. I've worked with 7 different countries, not because I'm that adventurous, because I was running away from something that I was carrying inside. And it took the accident for me to realize that, you know what, I can move from here to there to there to there. As long as I'm not letting this, I'm not dropping it, I might as well still be in Zimbabwe. So, yeah, when you decide you're going to let something out, you need to let it out and let it go. Like I'm talking about my story. If I talk about it, but I still hold on to the impact, I'm actually wasting my own time. I might end up helping people out there who will genuinely let go. But if I'm not letting it go from in here, I might as well just be stuck where I was before. As for the abuse that's going on in Zimbabwe, it's really sad that that culture of togetherness that I was talking about seems to have been lost. I don't know if it's desperation that's causing it because there's a lot of struggle there. But I think it's really sad. And if I talk on a personal perspective, I would say at some point you need to decide for yourself what you want to do. If you're gonna stay in the thick of it, what are you going to do to help yourself in it? If you can't, you might need to remove yourself. But that is an individual choice that one has to make. It's not easy leaving your country. It's not easy leaving your own family, your own people, your comfort zone. It's not easy leaving the things that you've known for years to go to the unknown. I read books about England and I had this picture in my head of what it would be like. But when I got here, I was shocked. Whatever picture I'd painted in my head was nowhere close to the actual reality of what it is to be in a foreign country on your own with baggage.
Okay.
So
What is your plan for the common Zimbabwean? Because as you know, your country is one of the most your population in Zimbabwe is one of the most educated people in Africa, according to statistics. I think 95% of people in Zimbabwe are well educated and they can read and write,
yeah,
according to statistics.
yeah.
So what you plan to give out to the Zimbabweans so that they can access this book, so that they can read about it and they can learn something from it. So what do you plan to give them out? How they can access this book?
One of the things that I'm really passionate about doing, though at the moment it's still a baby plan, I want to build a village for the youth. Like you've just said, Zimbabweans are very educated, but I think there's something wrong with the education system because it does not teach you the realities of life. You can learn to count from 1 to a billion. You can learn to add. You can learn to count money and to budget. But when it comes to the realities of life, like what I experienced, relationships between parent and child, relationships between grandparent and parent and child, you know, concrete relationships. You're not taught that in schools. When you think of coping mechanisms, human coping mechanisms, you're not taught that in schools. I struggled. I had to actually throw the books away. It's interesting that you mentioned education. When I left Zimbabwe, I was very proud because I was very intelligent in school and I had done very well for myself education wise. But the things that I was struggling with, none of the education I had answers for me. And there was a time I said to myself, I actually need to get off my high horse of saying I'm that educated, because that was actually becoming a barrier as well. Because I kept saying to myself, how can an educated woman like me be depressed about this? How can an educated woman like me not be able to process this situation and deal with it? That's because the education system does not teach you about that, which is why I want to build this village. It won't be any fancy thing. It's gonna be real life, down to earth place where youth can come, explore themselves, love themselves enough to know the value that's within themselves. And this is one thing that most people never actually realize. We live from childhood, sometimes even dying, not realizing the strength, the courage, the wisdom that you are born with, that you don't actually need to go to school for. I mean, I grew up believing that you have to go to primary school, secondary school, university before you can become anybody, before you can become rich. And then I came to England, millionaires who didn't go to school. They tap into that wisdom that they are born with. They nurture it themselves. Education kind of teaches you dependency. When you think, oh, I want to achieve this, but I wasn't taught. But I wasn't taught. You don't need to be taught everything. Education opens your mind enough for you to be able to explore. That is one thing that I want to teach the youth. One thing I've learned is older you get, the more rigid you are with how you see things. So I'm not going to, got the 48-year-old like me and say, you know what, let's teach you how to, explore yourself, how to challenge what you've been told. And, we are old enough to make the choice, but I think we need to change the narrative and not teach our youngsters the wrong things, not pass on traditions without question. I think any experience in life, if you don't come up with questions, if you don't reflect, you don't really learn anything and you will just follow, which is why I think Zimbabwe, everybody is struggling because we all follow. We think, oh, if I become a farmer, that's a dirty job. I couldn't go to university so that I can go back and start playing with mud in the field. But some people are making millions out of farming while you're wearing your white collar, being paid a salary that doesn't even hold your own household budget. We need to break that mindset where we just follow whatever we are told blindly. So yeah, I'm hoping I can actually achieve that. The sooner the better, but yeah, I'm in the process of working on that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, C.I.H, for those great questions.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So if anyone,
I'm actually impressed. You look like a very young guy. I'm really impressed that you've shown that you're thinking about things. You're thinking beyond what I'm saying. What I'm saying is triggering something in your mind. And this is what I would like people to do. Don't just take words and hold on to them. Juggle them, play with them, make them work for you. And that's you've just demonstrated exactly what I would like to do. Thank you.
C.I.H, you're on mute still. Turn off the.
I'm not thinking beyond you. I'm just thinking like a normal person.
You'd be surprised how many people wouldn't have thought of that, actually. To be honest with you, I've done several talks about this book, and the questions you've asked, they've not been asked. You should be proud of yourself, honestly.
What I admire you, because I have to be honest, I admire you because as a woman came from African background, it's very difficult. I came from Africa, Sweden.
You've gone faint, I think your mic.
Yeah, put your mic to your mouth.
You just hold your mic close to your mouth.
Okay, I said I admire you so much as an African woman to do this kind of thing because having on the setting of Africa is very difficult for a woman to stand up like this. So
yeah, it's not easy. It's scary. Like I said before, some fear is worth scaring if it benefits
because
people.
People fear to speak as an African setting because we know where we came from. People fear to speak, and if you don't speak, like they will suppress people at the same time. So we'll continue to suffer like this.
Yeah.
But if people come forward and write something, recommendation, and write things that are affecting people in society, so people will read this book and find suitable solution for all of people in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you're affected by this thing, domestic violence and other things. And you are not alone. There are other people who have the same problem. Maybe your book will save other people, thousands of people in Zimbabwe or Africa as a whole or the world at large. So that is why we are happy for you, and we really want to support you if we have the chance.
Thank you so much. One thing I want to do, because I know a lot of people in Africa don't have the means to buy the book. I want to do a book reading club. That's something in the pipeline as well. I've started it locally, but I want to do like we've done now, maybe market it for a bit so people know about it, and then read the different chapters and get the questions asked. I mean, imagine figuring questions out of more than just you, because just this conversation brought up the questions that you've asked. So if we read it maybe chapter by chapter, and then get people asking questions from it, we can start to reshape, and you can start to challenge all these narratives that we've been passing on without questioning. Hopefully you will follow me. I don't know how I can share my social media platforms on here. But if you look me up, my full name is Fireside J Demwa. My Facebook is Fireside J Demwa. And from that, you can actually get links to my page and my book and all my other social media platforms. And yeah, we can start to create a whole revolution of conversation.
Definitely, definitely. And we've also put the link to the book as well in this chat. So anyone here who wants to, because there is actually, you can read a bit of it, right? Like
It's a synopsis of the book. And then as well, it allows you to pick, you can click on a chapter and it will give you a little brief on it. So you can actually get an idea of what the book is about and what different topics are covered in the book. And hopefully that still triggers some thoughts in different people, and they can start challenging things from an individual perspective. But if we come together and challenge things, I think that works very well.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I think this has been amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really nice evening. Yeah.
Well,
Great way to spend an hour.
I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
you coming on and just
I
sharing.
don't know if anybody else has questions.
Yeah, anyone else? Whilst we're still here. Maybe not. Okay.
Well, we know most of the people who have come into this talk, so we can always send your Facebook out to all of these guys.
Definitely. Yeah, for sure.
I've just put in the chats how my Facebook is.
Nice.
Okay.
Fireside J Demwa.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah, because if you just look for Fireside Demwa, I have one where it's just photography, nothing else.
Okay.
Much, yeah.
That'd still be nice to see though from what you said.
Yeah, I take photographs. Oh my goodness. I think photographs tell a lot of stories that people really don't realize.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for such a wonderful evening session.
Yeah.
I feel very Monday motivated.
Absolutely.
That's what I was hoping for, that somebody will be motivated.
Yeah.
We'll definitely have to like what you were saying about this chapter by chapter. Like talk about this, doing that, because I know some people who would be really interested in that sort of thing.
For sure.
Yeah, like you were talking about, you do Monday motivation. You could maybe start reading snippets of it on one of the days. Doesn't necessarily have to be Mondays. I do some Zoom calls with local women, and we're gonna read the book that way as well. But I think the broader variety of people get involved, the better, I think. So yeah, hopefully we can do something together.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Well, we're obviously we're gonna talk. So yeah, we'll sort something out. Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you for everyone who tuned in to this week's Monday Motivation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wish you all a wonderful evening.
Yeah, and a really good week ahead of your course.
Yeah. And we'll keep in touch.
Yeah.
Just call me. Okay. Well, goodbye, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye. Thanks everyone for joining.
And thank you so much for coming on. Honestly, it's been amazing. So lovely to talk.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Ciao.
Bye.